name is Felicia Priscilla, student number B1024181003. I'm from Management International class, batch 2018, Faculty of Economic and Business, Universitas Tanjungpura. It's very great to see all of you again in this video. I hope you guys stay safe and stay healthy. So in this video, I will be answering several questions in order to fulfill the final exam of organizational behavior from our lecturer, Mr. Adi Mursalin SEMM. The questions are divided into 3 parts. Part A is about the activity in a Zoom meeting. Part B is about the OB theories, and Part C is about the OB videos. Let us begin.
Part A. Questions related to the activities at Zoom meeting. 1. Explain what you have done at the Zoom meeting at OB class for 1 semester.
Well, I have attended all the OB class via Zoom every Wednesday. I've been very active during the discussion session because every time my friend asked questions, I would try to answer, and I would most likely to participate in the question and answer sessions. And other than that, I also watched the videos from Mr. Adi as the references regarding to every chapters that my friend presented. So after my friends present their presentations about the chapter, we will have additional knowledge from the videos and from the articles that Sir Adi provided for all of us. That's why it is very important for me and all of my friends to check out those articles and videos so that we could have more insights about the chapter and the organizational behavior itself.
2. Are you active in attending the class at Zoom meeting? Are you active in discussing the topics delivered by the presenters?
Well, yes, I was very active in attending the class in the Zoom meeting, and I was very active in the discussion session with the topics delivered by the presenters, because sometimes I answered their questions, I gave them questions, and many other things. Like, for example, Sir Adi liked to ask us several questions, and sometimes me and my friends like to correspond to it and answer based on our grievances, based on what happens in our daily lives, and based on what we have as our insights. Therefore, in this discussion session, we could exchange our information and knowledge to gain a better understanding about the chapter itself.
3. How many chapters are presented at OB class via Zoom? What have you presented during your OB lecture via Zoom? What knowledge have you got from presenting your OB topics? Who is the best presenter? Give the reasons to your answer.
So there are 15 chapters regarding and presented in the OB class. The first chapter is what is organizational behavior. The second chapter is personality. The third chapter is emotions. The fourth chapter is attitudes and job satisfaction. The fifth chapter is perception, decision making, and problem solving. The sixth chapter is leadership. The 7th chapter is power and politics. The 8th chapter is motivation. The 9th chapter is motivation applications. The 10th chapter is group process and teams. The 11th chapter is managing conflicts. The 12th chapter is organizational communication. The 13th chapter is diversity and cross-culture. 14th chapter is organizational culture, and the 15th chapter is leading change and stress management. Well, I myself, with my friend Fanny Christine, we presented chapter 15 with the title of Leading Change and Stress Management. The knowledge that I get after presenting those chapters is that change is a necessary thing, and in order for us to fully change, there's always rejections and stress that needs to be managed. So it is very important for us to understand about stress management itself. And in my opinion, the best presenters within the 15 chapters is Celine and Felicia, because both of them are very attractive and interactive with the audience. So they provide games and ice breaking during their presentations, and the materials that they explained are presented very clearly so that it's easy for us as audience to understand what they are talking and discussing about.
4. How does OB lectures for one semester impress you? And deliver your closing comments by mentioning the benefits and the knowledge you have got from attending the OB lectures via Zoom.
So I'm very excited to attend the OB class because Sir Adi is full of surprises, in my opinion, because every time we have a class, Sir Adi will have additional knowledge and insights, like additional articles, additional videos, so that we will have more and more knowledge about the chapter that what our friend is explaining. For example, if we don't really understand about what our friends explaining, we could find better understanding through the videos that Sir Adi gave us. Other than that, while learning OB, in my experience, I feel like Sir Adi is not only teaching what's on the textbooks, but he also taught us how to implement this OB in the real life. For example, Sir Adi asked, how is your parents' leadership style? How is your management style at home? How do you manage stress at home? Do you like change? And so for other questions, and I don't think many lecturer does that to their students, but Sir Adi is one of a kind, and that makes me very interested in attending the OB class, and that's why it impressed me a lot, because previously in HRM class, Sir Adi is very interactive with all of us, and he provides something that other lecturer doesn't provide, which is a unique form of test for midterm and final exam, which is through video. And that is very unique because we can practice our speaking and our confidence in front of the camera, and that is what impressed me the most, that Sir Adi is unique and he is there to be unique, and he taught us be yourself and be unique. Other than that, the closing comments that I'm going to deliver is that thank you so much, Sir Adi, for teaching all of us, me and all of my friends of Management International Class Batch 2018 who attended the Organizational Behavior class. I'm very grateful to have you as my lecturer for 2 semester, which is semester 4 and now, and I hope to see you again soon, someday at the street, and I hope we could see each other offline and exchange news one day on the street. Thank you for the wonderful experience, Sir Adi. See you soon. So that is the end of part A. Let us move on to part B.
Part B. Questions related to OB theories. 1. Would you rather work in an organization with a theory X, theory Y, or theory Z style of leadership? Give reasons for your preference.
Among those 3 theories, I would most likely to choose theory Y, because I think that theory Y provides this room for self-esteem and the growing of self-actualizations. Other than that, there's also 4 things that differentiate theory Y with other theories. So the first one is decentralization and delegation. If a firm decentralize control and reduce the number of level management, managers will have more subordinates and subsequently need to delegate some responsibility and decision making to the subordinates. This means that even though we work as employees of a theory Y management, we will have the responsibility to make a decision because our managers has delegates it to us. And then the second one is job enlargement, which is talk about broadening the scope of an employee's job as variety and opportunities to satisfy ego needs. Job enlargement means that it wider the scope of employee's job. It's not just employee does not only works from what the top level of management wants. It's not only about following orders, but employees could also add finishing touches or additional touches that could perfect or even give value added to the job to satisfy their needs as well. And the third one is participative management. Participative management is that consulting employees in the decision-making process, tap their creativity capacity, and provide them with some control over their work environment. Means that, just like what I've said in the job enlargement, employees is not there to only follow what the top management wants, but they can also have some controls over their works. Means that they are participating within the management. They are the ones who also construct the types of management, also have the control within the management itself. It makes them enlarging their creative capacity so that they could create and do more work with higher productivity within the management itself. And then the fourth one is performance appraisal, means that having employees set objectives and participate process of self-evaluation increases engagement and dedication. Through the performance appraisal, top-level management sees all what employees have done, and then they would give them appreciations like reward thanks to what they've done and the achievement for them after achieving their goals and objectives. And that is why I would most likely to choose theory Y, because within the management itself there is more appreciation towards the employee as a worker itself.
2. What are some of the differences between the classic bureaucratic model as outlined by Max Weber and the other more alternative models?
So the bureaucratic approach to management was formed by Max Weber, and it relies on a stringent set of guidelines and hierarchy. In a sense, the theory is based on seniority rules and following guidelines and adhering to strict processes, while scientific management from Frederick Taylor's management style is focused heavily on the individual and the result generated from the process. Taylor believed that finding the best way of each individual to perform his job would lead to more productive workplace. The most prevalent differences between bureaucratic and scientific management models are the ways in which individuals interact and collaborate. In a scientific environment, the individuals is offered options and flexibility. Communications and adapting processes to real-world applications are important here. The scientific approach allows to open avenues of social conversations and less segregating in the employees pool. Overlapping job roles may also happen during scientific principles, and employee can see a shift in which they are moved to different jobs based on scientific strength, or they are given more responsibility or diverse set of job functions. While in bureaucratic style, the relationships are not important, and individuals should not put their heads down and do their jobs. I mean that they should just put their heads down and do their jobs. They may not comment towards what the management style is. Socializing and adjusting work styles are not accepting in the bureaucratic environment. They're not accepted. While bureaucratic styles are very specialized and every job role has a predefined strict set of guidelines with no wiggle form. There's no rule for them to change or even a single space for them to comment. And the ability to move crossways within the company, organizations, or governments is also very difficult. It is a top to bottom hierarchy with no flexibility and a very rigid principles with little adaptability to the markets. Governments use this style of management with very rigid principles and the workplace rules and regulations. The scientific style can adapt and change processes while also working collaboratively towards higher output with lower costs.
3. Describe 3 theories of leadership and provide examples for each.
So, I've searched for several theories and I'm looking after the first one is a great man theory, the second one is the trait theory, and the third one is transformational theory. Great man theory states that excellent leaders are born and not developed. A popular concept in the 19th century, well, this theory states that leadership is an inherent quality and this type of leader often possesses unnatural attributes of intelligence, courage, confidence, intuition, charm, and among others. The example of the great man theory is that like a king is born, a leader is born. Like when his father is a president, for example, means that his son or his children are meant to be leaders in the future as well. And that is the example of the great man theory. The second theory is about the trait theory, which states that in a certain natural qualities tend to create good leaders. Having certain qualities does not necessarily mean that someone has a strong leadership skill. However, some leaders may be excellent listeners or communicators, but not every listener or communicator makes an excellent leader. The trait itself means that the qualities for someone to become a leader is not only based on the quality, not based on because he or she is a good listener or whatsoever, but a leader can have those traits. On the other hand, if a person is a good listener, maybe he's a good chat box that everyone tells secrets and share their stories with him or her, but it doesn't mean 100% that that person is going to be a leader. For example, is that people who work in human resource department, some of them are staff and some of them are the leader, and that's why even though they have the same skill of becoming a good listener, but not everyone is the leader. And the third one is transformational theory. It also called the relationship theory because studies effectively leadership as a result of a positive relationship between leaders and the team members. Transformational leaders motivate and inspire through their enthusiasm and passion. They are the model of their team and they hold themselves to the same standard they expect of others. This is the type of leader that they value others, they teach others by the examples. For example, like the president, our president nowadays in his campaign, he did something called as blusukan. So he want all of his staff, his ministry and his other subordinates to be down to earth, down under, means that they have to see what the citizens of the Indonesia really doing, how they're getting through their lives, how they're passing their days each day because of the hard economic levels, the pandemic levels. They have to know it from the field and not from the result, from the research. And that is why they have to take the example of their leader, which is the president itself, who did belusukan right away. And those are the 3 theories that I took about the leadership style.
4. Describe various models of organizational leadership, such as a trait, positional, and situational theory.
So trait approach gives the rise to questions whether leaders are born or made, or whether leadership is an art or a science. However, these are not mutually exclusive alternatives. Leadership may be something of an art. It still requires an application of a special skills and techniques. Even if there is a certain inborn qualities that make a person a good leader, these natural talents need encouragement and development. We can't say that even though his father is a king, or his father is a president, or his mother is a CEO, doesn't mean that this child later on will directly become a CEO, will directly become the inheritance of a kingdom without the development and encouragement. A person is not born to self-confidence, and self-confidence is developed. Honesty and integrity are the matters of personal choice. Motivation to lead comes from within the individual, and the knowledge of the business can be acquired. While cognitive ability has its origin partly in genes, means that it is within you, it is still need to be developed. None of these ingredients are acquired overnight. We're not Cinderella like bibbidi bobbidi boo and then there you're a leader. No, it's not like that. That's what trait means. The second one is positional leader, which influence people to their positional power rather than personal leadership qualities. They are not so much team focused, collaborative, courageous driven, relationship oriented, and creative. Employees under positional leaders are demotivated and disengaged. The culture of the organization is more bureaucratic and hierarchical with no clear, concise goals. It means that it's a top to bottom style of leadership. The third one is situational theory, a theory of leadership that does not relate to a certain type of leadership or claim that any one of the style is the best. Instead, situational theory argues that the best kind of leadership is one who able to adapt to her styles based on the situation. They may respond to a situation by commanding, coaching, persuading, participating, delegating, or however they think it is necessary. Situational leaders are defined by the flexibility to adapt to the situations and the problem which a company needs to solve.
5. How does the organization culture influence the employee performance? Explain your answer. Your answer must be supported with a journal related to the question given. See the author, the problem statement, the research method, and the findings of the research.
Okay, so organizational cultures can have varying impacts on the employee's performance and motivation levels. This statement clearly says that there is an impact on organizational cultures towards the employee's performance and motivation levels. The first one is that oftentimes employees work harder to achieve organizational goals if they consider themselves to be a part of the corporate environment. The second part is that different cultures operating in one company can also impact the employee's performance. For example, if the organization maintains to resolve talk when necessary, culture employees may work accordingly. However, if the organization allows one area, say the sales team, to be outspoken and socially active, the organization may experience the rivalries among areas, because every levels of management, every section and division talks, they will have rivalry within one another division. Thus, allowing an area to set up their own culture can affect the performance of the employee developed elsewhere in the company. Means that if the organizational culture is there to bring good, if they implement it in one united company, will bring harm if they themselves implement different organizational cultures within their divisions towards one another division. They will have clash, and in the end of the day they will become rivals, and this could slow down the performance of employee and also further the goals of employees to achieve. Okay, there's a journal that is supporting this relationship and the impact of organizational culture towards employees' performance. The authors are Hera Manurung and Delviana Erwesihombing. The problem statement is that does organizational culture influence employee performance at Sefer Putra Saleh Anugrah at Samosir Regency? The research method is that from Sugiono 2000 on his book established in 2005, page 72, population adalah wilayah generalisasi, that's and other definitions related to the populations. The population in this research itself are all of the employees of Sefer Putra Saleh Anugrah in Samosir Regency, with a total number of samples, which is 25 employees. Other than that, Sugiono also explains the definitions of samples. Well, the samples determination technique used in this research is saturated sampling technique, where all members of the population are used as samples. So, the samples in the study were 25 employees, and data collection technique was used in the observations and questionnaires. The method of analysis used was simple regression analysis with significant analysis of product moment coefficient correlation using the t-test. We'll move on to the finding. After analyzing the data of the following conclusions are derived. A. The data obtained from the questionnaires distributed to the sample of 25 people is obtained that the results recount concluded that there is a significant relationship between organizational culture with employee performance at Sefer Putra Saleh Anugrah at Samosir Regency. B. The regression equation shows and explains that if organizational culture is none, then the value of employee performance is also none. This significance of variable, which is 0 compared to 0.299, is correlation equal to 12.724, then the value compared to the table of the error is 5%, with the value of the table is 2.069. In accordance with the requirements of the hypothesis testing that counts 12,722 is greater than the t-table, which is what we've stated, 2,069, can be concluded that organizational culture has a positive and a significant effect on employee performance at Sefer Putra Saleh Anugrah at Samosir district. Hence, the research hypothesis is accepted.
6. What is stress management? Is stress management important to study? Why? How important is stress management for you as a manager, a student, and a child in your family? How do you manage your stress?
So, preventive stress management is a set of methods that promotes health at the workplace and avoid distress. While organizations assume that employees will take some individuals' responsibility for preventing stress, it is a clear trend that organizations are being more proactive regarding stress management. Many organizations have wellness programs that offer workshops on time management, weight loss, alcohol and drug abuse, or smoking cessation and exercise. So what is stress management? Stress management is our ways to manage our stress, to press down our stress, to control our stress so that we will have a better mood, a better emotions, and a better day at the future. Other than that, why is stress management so important to this study? Yes, it is very important. Why? Because we are surrounded by problems all over us. Problems comes within ourselves and problems come from the externals of ourselves, from our environment, from our family, from our school, from our friends and others. Because of that, some of them might cause us to feel stress. For example, during this pandemic, many people cannot go to work and they have to start teleworking. Not only workers but also students. At the same time, both workers and students rarely use technology in their daily activities except using phone. But they never use telecommunications like video calls or Skype for something which is used in daily basis, which is working and studying, and that could cause stress because it comes from outside and within ourselves. We cannot use technology, and the externalities of ourselves force us to use this technology. Because of the pandemic, we cannot meet one another via offline. And other than that, how important is stress management for me as a manager? Well, as a manager in the future, I would take care lots of people regarding with lots of tasks, lots of problems, lots of issues in the future. So it is very important to understand what is stress management so that I could always be on track. Whether I'm making a decision is not based on my emotion. Whether I'm happy, I could promise you something. Whether I'm mad, I will be asking you to go out or even make bad decision in the future. And that is why stress management is very important, because it affects on our mood, affects on our attitude, and affects on our personality and how we behave in the workplace itself. And other than that, as a student, many externalities factors now is hitting us other than this telecommunication in the class. We have also problems that we don't understand about the lecture. We can't meet our friends for suggestion. Everything has to be done online, and that could cause more stress because some of us might also wanted to go to student exchange, but thanks to COVID, we can't go anywhere, and that could cause a big stress. Well, guys, I know you're not alone. We're in this together. We're in it to win it. We're in it to fight together with it. And that is why stress management is very important, so that we could boost up ourselves, stay positive day by day, and always look on the bright side. Just look on the bright side. If we cannot go to student exchange, we might as have something else more valuable to learn in here, and that is why we have to understand what is stress management. Other than that, as a child in a family, I'm the first child in the family, and my brothers and sisters took me as an example, so I have to behave well as a older sister, and that is quite hard for me. I think that because everything I do will be an example for them, whether I like to get mad around the house because of my studies or because of my friends sometimes upsets me, and that is why I have to learn stress management so that I could be more patient about what is happening and going on with the environment, with my situation now, have to understand that I'm not going through this all by myself, but I'm going through this with all of my friends, and each and one of the students of Untan also face the same problem as I am. I'm not here alone, and that is why I have to learn about stress management to control my stress level so that it will not prevent me or stop me from becoming a person who I will and I'm going to be. And it is why stress management is very important. How do I manage stress? Well, in order to manage stress, you will have to do other things to keep you busy. For example, like if you cannot do your homework right now, try to listen to music and try to think on positive things, on the plus and minus, whether you finish it or not. If you finish it earlier, maybe you could watch Netflix and you could listen to music and have some time to relax. Well, if you cannot do it now, maybe you're sick or not in a good mood or in a productive time to do things, well, try to do other things that will keep you busy and later up will pamper you back on the same mood, the better mood to do your tasks. For example, like doing your hobby, or even have some refreshments on entertainments or food or stuff like that. And that is my way to manage my stress, is that find other distractions and use that distraction to get back to your focus.
7. Explain the difference between good stress and bad stress.
So good stress is a short-lived, infrequent, and over quickly in manner of minutes or hours that can be part in a positive life experience which inspires you to actions and helps you to build up yourself. It leaves you better than you were before. For example, a good stress is that when you are faced with lots of tasks, lots of assignments from your college life or your school life, and that is a good stress, because once you finish all your assignments, you'll feel relief and you have more time to relax. You can binge watch on Netflix and do whatever you want, because it's a good stress. It happens in a short term and it's done. Well, bad stress that lasts a long time, it is chronic, it's ongoing, it is negative, depressing, and demoralizing, demotivates and paralyzes you and breaks you down. It leaves you worse off than you were before. For example, the same example of assignment could turn from good stress to bad stress depend on how you act on it. For example, the deadline of your task is 1 week ahead, and you think that, oh, I still have plenty of time. Then you procrast, you let it go, you just watch movie, go out with your friends, and do other refreshment thing at the beginning. Then one day before the deadline, you will become so stressful because you haven't done anything with your assignment. And that is how a good stress turns into a bad stress that could make you depressed because you cannot finish your task in time. And the worst part is that your lecturer is going to be mad because the due date is 1 week and you submit it late. Oh my god, that is a bad stress.
8. Is change important in your life? Why? How do you lead your change? Give the example.
Okay, so yes, change is important in my life. In fact, change is what has changed me to who I am today. And why is so important? Change within myself helped me to focus. The change within myself is the thing that the way I found who I really am. Some bad things might happen to us. For example, our friends move to another town for work or for college. on breakups, or maybe we have a fight with our brother or sister, our parents is not satisfied with us and sometimes get mad, and other many factors could lead us to a reflection of ourselves, have to identify back who we really are, and that is the change on finding our true identity, whether is this really me? Is this how I should have behaved? Is this what I truly am? And by finding that, we could also change for the better of ourselves, to become the better version of ourselves. The second one is that external change will shape you. The internal change helps us to focus. And just now I told us about how external change shaped us. For example, this COVID. Previously, I was a person who thinks that I was the one who was the victim in every case. But through COVID, I seen that not everything we say is right. It is okay to be wrong. And it is okay to admit that we cannot do everything. That is what I've learned through COVID, and that's what shapes me. And the internal change that keep me focused is that I believe that within myself, I have to change. We have to be productive for ourselves. We have to be the support system for ourselves. We have to fight for ourselves. If not for ourselves, who would fight for us? Waiting for someone to fight for us in the end of the day? No, it is not like that. We are what we see for ourselves, is the way how we know our worth. Our worth is determined by how we see ourselves, and that is why internal change helps you to focus, while external change shapes you. And the most important part is that change leads to opportunity and experience. New doors will not be opened by old ways, and that is why by seeing in another person's perspective, by developing your attitudes, by trying to be a better person each and every day, could opens the opportunity and experience. Be low-key, and then you will not stop learning and understand more what words have and preserves and serves you with it. And that is why change is very important for me, because it changed me from a not growing and not developing person to a person who I am today. And then, how do I lead change? And there is a 3-step on how I lead change. The first one is I start by myself. The second one is I start with something small. And the third one is I take one step at a time. The examples is that nowadays the world are implementing living a sustainable lifestyle to preserve the environment. The things that I could do is that bring my own eating utensils, like no straws, bring my own spoon, fork and plates maybe, and also chopsticks. And then I also support the campaign on non-plastic while shopping, and that is why I bring my own shopping bag sometimes to prevent the waste which going to throw out and add the waste within the world. And that is how I start living a sustainable lifestyle, and I start the change within myself. Start small, start by yourself, take one step at a time.
9. You have studied 15 chapters on OB book given by your lecturer. How do you find the book on OB used in learning OB? How does it contribute to your study performance? Among the 15 chapters you have studied, which chapter is the most difficult to understand? Why? Which chapter is the easiest? Why? Which chapter is the most interesting? Why? What knowledge have you got from studying OB in this semester? Will you apply the OB theory in your life at work? Why?
So I have studied 15 chapters of the OB class, yes. And how do I find the book used in OB chapters is Mr. Adi gave us the book as the references for our study. And how does it contribute to your study performance? Well, the book that Mr. Adi gave us is the main handbook of the organizational behavior class, and that is why it is very beneficial for us to get more knowledge and insights, especially from the book. That is why the book is very beneficial for us. Thank you, Sir Adi, for providing the books of RB for us. And other than that, Sir Adi also provides us with videos and articles related to the chapters presented by the presenters on that day regarding to organizational behavior. And thank you so much, Sir Adi, for providing us those references and materials to study OB. And which chapter is the most difficult to understand? I think that the most difficult chapters to understand is chapter 15 with the title of Leading Change and Stress Management. Why is that so? Because it is not really easy to call leading change. Change occurs because there is something happened and something wrong happened while doing the common things, while doing the default things, while doing the usual things that we did. And that is why change is necessary. That is why change is up on the debate, and that is why change is up for the discussion, and that is why change in the end of the day is up for the implementation towards the organization's problem to solve in the end of the day. Other than that, sometimes change also provides along rejection and acceptance, but mostly when change occurs, people will more likely to reject rather than accept, and that is why some of them could cause stress. If in the end of the day, although that person is rejecting the change, but it is a strict and a rigid style management that must be obeyed by others, means that in the end of the day, those opinions of acceptance of rejection will not be matters anymore, because the change will always be implemented right away, and that is why it will cause stress. Thus, people will have to learn, especially the employees have to learn what is stress management, so that they could manage their stress, so they could cope with the situation of the change and go with the present flow. Well, other than that, why is the easiest chapter to understand? Well, the easiest chapter to understand is about moods and emotion. Why is that so? Because mood and emotion is part of ourselves, and we daily face or daily have this change of moods and emotion day by day. Regardless everything that happens to us, we still have our mood and emotion. For example, on a rainy day, I will feel upset because I want to go on cycling, for example. And then on the other day around, those emotions, for example, and then the rain stops, but the sun is too hot, but I decided and determined to go on cycling. Well, then I cycling during the hot day, and I will be so upset again, because if it's not raining this morning, I would have cycled in a better sunlight, which is not very hot and burns my skin. And other than that, because it's quite late for cycling hour, the road is very crowded, and that is another problem. Those upsets emotions turns into a bad mood, and that is why, guys, sir and friends, Moods and emotion attached to ourselves, and I think it is the most easiest chapter to understand. And last but not least is the most interesting chapter to understand. It is about leadership. Why is that so? Not everyone is determined to become a leader. Not everyone is born to become a leader. Not everyone is made to become a leader. That's why leadership is an important thing to study and learn. Other than that, leadership cannot be acquired in one night. Even though today you learned the chapter of leadership doesn't mean you can be a leader just by studying the chapters. No, you have to go with more process, go with more things and challenges in the future in order to become a proper leader. And that is why it's very interesting to understand what lies beyond a great leader of the organization, of a country, and what is their secrets to become what they are, who they are today. I learned a lot on seeing things in different perspective, and that is what I've learned about OB from one semester. Because before this, I was a person of one point of view, means that my point of view is the most relevant with the situation. But no, I've seen things in many perspectives thanks to the class of OB. Other than that, I also perceive the attitude on how do we should behave on the other people, on our office or workplace, how to be professional, and regardless of our moods and emotion, how do we maintain our professionality. And learned also about the leadership style, because I always think that leaders and boss are frequently the same, but they're not, because boss are bossing people around, asking people to do things around without an example, but leader do things with the employees. They teach them by doing with the proper example. Other than that, I also learned about how organizational culture impacted on employees' performance. It is very unique that every organization has its own culture, and it will shape the employees' performance, whether it is a good performance or a bad performance. And yes, definitely, I will implement OB in my life and in the workplace, because it is the process of studying OB. It is relentlessly of my perspective. The way of making decisions, have a good attitude, and it has changed me to who I am today. And hopefully, the implementation of OB in the future will change me to the better version of myself. Thank you, Sir Adi, for teaching OB to all of us. So that is the end of part B. Let's move on to part C.
Part C. Questions related to OB video. Find 2 videos on organizational behavior. You can choose 2 of the 15 chapters provided on OB ebook given. And you must mention the speaker and what the speaker explains, and what knowledge you can get from watching the 2 videos.
Okay, so from 15 chapters, I've chose 2 chapters. The first chapter is on chapter 2 with the title of Personality and Environment Fit, with the speakers are Celine Claudia, Robi Wijaya Chandra, and Felicia. They talked about personality and heredity. They talked about the benefits and limitations of using the MBTI in organizations. They also talk about the benefits itself and the 5 factors of the ocean, the big 5: openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. They also talked about personality traits and health research. They also talked about the example of a job that would benefit from risk-taking, and the history of Niccolo Machiavelli. They talked about many things regardless about the personality itself. And the main thing I've got is that personality is what's within yourself. And there are part of yourself. And that is why personality is like a diamond that has many facets. There is a good side of you, there is the open side of you, there is the introvert side of you, there is also an intuitive side, or a thinking side, a judging side, or a feeling side of you. There are many sides of you, like diamonds with many facets, right? So be ready to take action and develop an individualized relationship with people that is based upon their unique personality. Each and every one of us are diamonds, but what colors is your diamond is depend on yourself. And that is what I learned about the personality and person environment fit from those three speakers. Okay, then the second video I've chose is about chapter 15, which Fanny presented about leading change and stress management. She talks about the planned organizational change. So change is planned, ladies and gentlemen. It's not come down from heaven and boop, done, change. No, it is planned. An organizational subsystem involved in planned change itself. Other than that, she also talks about organizational development, the differences between theories of change and the theories of changing. Wow, it's very mind-blowing, right? Change and changing, it's different. And then other than that, there's also the resistance to change. She also talks about how on the model to overcome the resistance to change. And then Fanny talks some more about the kinds of stress and organizational performance with its relationship, and how to overcome stress and the roles of stress. Wow, it's very mind-blowing again. Stress have its own roles. Thus, from Fanny, from chapter 15, I've learned that change is planned, and even though it's planned, there is also the resistance to change on how to overcome it. And at the end of the day, it also talks about how the roles of stress, the benefits of stress, and that workplace distress as a leadership challenge. And the challenge of leadership is to create organizational cultures and work environments in which people may produce, serve, and grow, and also be valued. That is why stress management is very valuable, because it has the relationship towards the organizational culture to make the employees and the workers become more productive, regardless of what kinds of stress they have. They have to turn the bad stress into good stress so that they could become more productive than ever. So that's all about my answer to the questions of the final exams of organizational behavior. And if you have any questions, just drop by the comments below. Thank you, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye, guys.